And now, speaking of a great project that RESCoop.eu is involved in, we have some presentations now. I suggest, Dimitris, you might want to start about one of the projects, indeed, that you're involved in, called Life Loop, and how you are empowering, indeed, cities and people with giving them the right skills for a active role.
Present my presentation now or speak about
yes,
Life Loop?
Yeah, please. You can do your presentation.
Okay, now we're looking at it. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for being here, and thank you very much, especially RESCoop, for this honorable invitation, and for giving us the opportunity, the chance to present our work, what we have done in Crete. So I'm coming here. I am here as a representative of Minoan Energy Community, which was founded, as you can see, in a small town. It is named Arkalοχώρη, a rather unknown place at the center of the island of Crete. It was founded in 2019 by 38 founding members, but today we have reached more than 650 members, a figure that almost daily changes, among which we have 4 municipalities and the Regional Authority of Crete and much more legal entities. Our target is to undertake the basic role regarding the way that energy transition is going to be implemented in our island, and claiming the maximum possible benefits for the local citizens, economic, social, and developmental benefits. What we have done so far, given the fact that Crete so far remains an island, although it has been interconnected with the mainland country since 2021. We didn't have since our establishment any new open calls from a regulator, so we have just constructed 2 photovoltaic plants. You can see the nominal powers of both plants. With these 2 plants, more than 250 members of our community compensate their annual electricity consumptions with the production of the plants. What is more important is that in September 2021, our hometown, Arkalοχώρη, was stricken by a very strong earthquake, and it was estimated that more than 20% of the population was forced to change place of residence. So we couldn't do nothing less than trying to help our own community to recover from this situation. So what we did is that in the second photovoltaic plant that we have constructed, we have included 50 families, earthquake victims of low income, in this plant, so they receive electricity free of charge without paying anything at all. And we are going to support 50 more families in our third project. So in this way, we are trying to make the first practical steps against energy poverty in our island. For this project and in general for this action, we are awarding in this city 9 months ago, by the European Commission in the frame of European Union Sustainable Energy Week 2022, and for the local energy action for this specific award. It was a great distinction for us, and it gave us certainly hope, faith, and strength to continue our efforts. In the future, we have also planned to develop the first commercial projects that will sell the electricity produced to the utility. Small photovoltaic plants, for example, with upper limits for the participation of our members, up to 10,000 euro, for example, per each individual, or to 20,000 euro per family. This, for example, participation will give an annual income after taxes for each family, for example, at about 4,000 euros. So it will come at a payback period close to from 5 to 6 years. Also, we have already planned our first wind parks in places with high wind potential, more than 55% final capacity factor, and we are trying now to ensure the first licenses, the first approvals from the involved authorities. It is very important for us that the Cretans will be quite aware about what energy transition is, what are the risks, the options, the benefits that we can claim from this process only through our actual participation in that. So we have started with economic support of the Regional Authority of Crete, a very ambitious capacity building project. It is going to start next September, and it will last 18 months. More or less, we will deliver during this project more than 100 physical info days through the whole island, in municipalities, in schools, in commercial, professional groups and associations, just like, for example, hotel employees or municipal employees, etc. So what we want from the Greek state a truly supportive legal framework. We need a clear framework. We need priorities, licensing priorities for the energy communities. We need our place. You can see in this slide the map of Crete as it is today by 5 large-size applications that have been submitted in the regulator by big, large-size investors. And actually, practically, they have already occupied almost all most suitable locations for wind parks installations on the island. So practically, there is no space left. These licenses are not only in Crete, of course, but they are all over the Greek insular territory, because, you know, in Greek islands, we have very high wind potential. So they had the obligation, together with the construction of the project, also to interconnect the islands with the mainland grid on the expenses of the investors. But now the Greek islands have been already interconnected on the expenses of the Greek state. So actually these licenses or applications should be recalled or rejected, respectively. Practically, we have applications under evaluation process in Greece for more than 10 years. It makes no sense. So we want and we claim our space to be free. We want a distinction between the real energy communities. We have proposed, for example, the term energy communities of broad basis, with specific arithmetic and qualitative criteria to distinguish them from the 1,400 energy communities that currently have been established in our country. Most of them, however, of very low number of members, 10 or 15 members. So we want for these large-size energy communities, which are the real energy communities with clear developmental and social orientation, specific priority, licensing priorities and economic financial incentives support in order to be able to establish their vision and their targets. So, I don't know if you are aware, but today we are celebrating the European Day of Music. So best wishes to all of you who are lovers of music and could not live without it. And I just would like to recall in your memory that global song of John Lennon, Imagine, and just to make you sure that down there in my place in the southern eastern corner of Europe, we continue to imagine, and not only that, we are trying to work on turning our imagination into reality. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dimitris. So, Dimitri, a provocative question, I see. Instead of rejecting large wind park investors in Crete, which could delay the energy transition, it is not possible to cooperate and share capacity.
Okay. This could be a sensible question. It's very provocative, as you say, but the answers are easy and are more than one. So firstly, as I said in my presentation, our target is not just energy transition. If our target was just to make Crete green, to reduce our greenhouse emissions or to reduce our dependency on imported fossil fuels, then we wouldn't be necessary at all, because the licenses that you saw previously in my slide have a total capacity, total power of 5 gigawatt. And these 5 gigawatt are for an island like Crete, which has a peak demand of 800 megawatt. So they are much more enough to undertake the full energy transition in Crete. But this is not our target. Our target, as I said, is to use energy transition to make it the lever, the pylon for a fair economic and social development for all citizens in our island. So this is the first answer. The second one is that we have to apply the so-called fair play. So these licenses were submitted, and the applications were submitted, and some of them were also licensed on the conditions that these investors should undertake also the cost for the interconnection cables. And that's how they were excluded from the competitive processes. During the last years, the last 10 years, no other application has been submitted for grid because of this application. So they were excluded on this condition. Now the cables, as I said before, have been constructed on the expenses of the Greek state. So you cannot be excluded for the competitive processes, and then you can also be allowed to implement your project without having been consistent with your obligations. You have to be recalled or rejected. And finally, there is another answer, of course. Okay, I forgot it. Actually, yes, I remember it. These applications and licenses, instead of accelerating energy transition, practically they have decelerated it. We haven't seen any new wind park installed or licensed in Crete or even in the other islands during the last 13 years. The first licenses or applications were submitted in 2009. Until then, it is published. It has been published in at least 2 of my scientific articles in journals with very high impact factor. We had until then very highly positive common opinion of the local citizens in favor of wind parks. Since then, and of course due to these large-size applications, not only in Crete, but in the whole country, and especially in the insular country, this common opinion has been totally reverted. So even now, for example, they are trying to go to install some wind masts because they are obliged by the manufacturers to provide wind measurements because down there we have very strong wind potential. So the manufacturers of the wind turbines oblige them to force them to install a wind mast of 40 meters height. So the local residents do not leave the staff, the technicians, to go and install the mast. So I'm completely convinced that there is no chance for any one of these wind parks to be installed in Crete or in other islands. So actually, they cannot accelerate energy transition. On the contrary, they decelerate it. The only chance to see new wind parks in Crete and in Greek islands is only with the participation of the local communities. I see no other way.
And this is kind of the perfect conclusion for this session, in the sense that in the end, why we are pushing for this, why we are supporting this, it's because it's not just about the energy, it's not just about the flexibility, it's not just about the knowledge, it's all of it together, and overall, it's all about giving citizens the power to master their own energy and to be, let's say, in the end, it's all about democracy.